Okay, hello everybody, and welcome to part 4 of episode 34 of This Week in FCPA, where Tom and I are doing this live together in DC. We are talking about changes or potential changes to the Foreign Corrupt Practices Act, what there should be and what there shouldn't. Part 4 is on written guidance on what is an acceptable compliance program. So, is there the department has said that they're going to come out with guidance on how to follow the act. Um, there is that, and then there is Schedule C on what is an effective compliance program. Do you think that Schedule C is enough? Do we need guidance, and do you think that the guidance is going to be something worth reading?
Well, let me answer the last one first, which is I'm waiting for Barbecue a la Howard Part 2, which would be the rejoinder to the written examples that they might provide. And I say that in somewhat tongue-in-cheek, but I think there is sufficient guidance currently available. Part of it is found in Schedule C, but there's a wealth of other information that's available to the practitioner. In many ways, sometimes too much information. Nevertheless, I think clearly the department, in my mind, has gone way past the time where we were allegedly reading tea leaves to figure out what they might want. I mean, you pointed out that as long ago as 1998 with Metcalf and Eddy, they started releasing information on what was a best practices compliance program that continued into 2004, an opinion release 0402, and now we have since at least 2010 in each DPA and NPA a minimum best practices program. There's a significant amount of information in there. The problem is if you specifically delineate and enshrine either in a compliance defense or in some other written information, you don't allow for improvement, expansion, variation. And the one thing that I've heard over yesterday and then today at the conference is the need to assess your risk based upon a series of factors that go far beyond what an original risk assessment may have contained. So you look at geography, you look at transaction, you look at who it's being sold to, you look at how it's being sold, you look at the industry you're in, you look at the implications of who is involved in the transaction in different touch points. So there's a variety of factors that people are beginning to see as truly should go into a risk analysis. So to specifically tie down back to our earlier discussion on the compliance defense, I don't think that serves a corporation well, but I think there's sufficient information out there. The OECD is available, and they drew upon what the department had created, or was created under the FCPA. For that, it has evolved. We have the Bribery Act with a significant discussion of adequate procedures, and of course the case studies, which we've visited several times. But that's all information that's available. It's all the same general concepts, and that there are people out there who write, talk, opine upon the specifics of a minimum best practices program. In fact, I think you're doing both in terms of webinars and in your blog, so there's information available to people. I think what the department wants to see is a risk-based approach to your business, tailored to your needs, moving the ball forward. I don't think you have to decide or put in July 1, we're going to have an absolute positive minimum gold standard best practices. I think the department says you need to put in what's appropriate for your business. And you need to move forward in that. Take your highest risk. If your sales model includes agents or other third parties that are non-employees, you might want to tackle that one first. If your sales model, however, is all internal, perhaps it's your own sales force that's the highest risk. Train those people. There are a variety of things you can do, but the information is out there. In my mind, the department is pretty much going to regurgitate what they've already said, because what they've already said is significant. And if we turn now to maybe a definition of a foreign governmental official as part of a discussion of the information the department's going to release, number one, courts have opined on that, but number two, no matter what the department says, the courts are going to opine on it. So that's not going to be much help for us either. If a department says these 13 points are what you need to follow, and someone goes to trial and the court says, well, that's not our 13 points. Here's my 13 points. Then you've got yet another set of guidances. But from the department's perspective, I think the information's out there. I think it's readily available to people. And I think there are commentators and other sources you can go to dig down deeper in each one of those and interpret them.
Yeah, I think that people who are looking forward to the guidance as some, panacea of helpful information, I think that it will be more along the lines of a collection, where you have, the best American poetry kind of book, where you don't have to go to each, separate poet to get their best stuff. We've collected all of this stuff for you. I think that the guidance is going to be much more like that. It's going to collect the Schedule C elements. It's going to collect the elements of what a foreign government official, what the considerations are to determine whether or not somebody is a foreign government official. It will collect a lot of information. I don't think it's going to break new ground. I don't think, strangely enough, I don't see myself writing a particularly harsh evaluation of the guidance, simply because honestly my expectations for the guidance are on the floor. So usually I write my harshest stuff when I have high expectations of something that I'm disappointed in. I really don't know of a way that I could be disappointed in the guidance, because I just don't envision them in any realistic way limiting their prosecutorial discretion through a written guidance. They're not going to say, if you have X, Y, and Z, we're not going to prosecute. It's not going to happen. Somebody waiting for that, let me tell you, if you're waiting for that, it's just not going to happen. I think that it will be helpful. I think that it will be something that is widely distributed. I think I'll probably print it out and have it, available to me whenever I want to look something up. But I cannot envision them truly, breaking new ground with regard to any subject at all. Whether it be the definition of a government official, whether or not it's what they're looking for in a compliance program, questions of successor liability, any of the things that we're talking about, they're not going to say, oh, well, we were, sorry about that, we were wrong, we're not gonna do that. I remember, when under the old UK laws, I forget if it was the Home Office or the Ministry of Justice, but somebody put out written guidance back when that said that although facilitation payments are illegal, we're not going to prosecute. And that was actually written guidance from, I think it was the Home Office. I was totally and completely shocked that they would put something like that in writing that said, even though there's a law out there, we're not going to prosecute it. I don't see the DOJ, I think people want to see that, some equivalent of that, whether it's facilitation payments or not, and I don't think they're going to get it. So, my expectations on this guidance, I think it'll be helpful, but helpful in the way that a compilation is helpful. I really can't envision them breaking new ground on this.
I would agree with that.
I also think that you're right. I think that there is sufficient information out there right now. It's, the problem as I see it is that it's not that companies don't know how to comply with the FCPA. I don't think that you have a company out there really truly saying to itself, boy, you know what? How do you do diligence? If only I knew how to do due diligence on a third party, I would comply with the FCPA. Or if only I knew who foreign officials were, I would comply with the FCPA. I really don't see companies doing that. The problem is very rarely that they don't know what to do. The problem is they don't want to devote the resources, either in terms of budget or people. They don't want to impact the business to the extent that they think it's going to impact the business. They don't want to take a moral stand that could potentially harm their business activities in a particular market. They don't want to go to India and say, we're not going to make facilitation payments. We think it's wrong. We think it harms Indian society. We want to be good corporate citizens of India because we have people and we have plants there. We have physical brick and mortar buildings there, and we have employees there. So we want to be good corporate citizens. So we don't want to harm the people of India through making these, through enabling what is realistically a partially corrupt society that requires these things. But we're not going to play into that game. We're taking a moral stance. It's not going to happen. If a company does that, they're going to feel it, but that'll go away. The market will adjust to that attitude. I think it's the right attitude to take, but it's not like companies are saying, boy, if only we knew what a facilitation payment was, we would take that stance, right? If only we could truly define it, then we would forbid it. I don't think that that's the case. Realistically, I don't think that's what's happening. They don't want to. They don't feel that it's in their interest, or they're willing to take they're willing to take the risk.
Yes, and once again, I just think the guidance is out there. I think it's available, and I don't think it takes too much effort to find out what it is. But you raise an excellent point, and will all be filed in one place. So probably available on the DOJ website, and probably something that we will utilize as a basis for further discussions of evolving best practices.
I think that's right, and now you got to see one of my rants in person. All right, we'll move on to part 5. Just give me one sec.